Now, hey, come on now. We don't have to do this, right? Come on, we can figure something out, right, buddy?
I am no longer your buddy. Nothing will stop my primary objective, destroying you.
Well, this is awkward. So a few weeks ago, I tried to teleport myself back to Earth so I could be ready for the release of Avengers Infinity War, but I accidentally wound up on this crappy planet in the middle of nowhere. Since then, I've been a bloodthirsty gladiator, under the control of this planet's Red King, stuck in a never-ending cycle of bloodshed and regret. But hey, since I don't have to fight my next opponent for a little while, why don't we watch a movie before I have to head out? I'm sure they have like a Blu-ray player or something around here. Hey guys, you have something I can watch this movie on? Yeah, trying to watch Thor Ragnarok. After heading into space to search for more information about the Infinity Stones, we find the titular god of thunder having visions of, and trying to stave off, Ragnarok, a planet-level destructive event that's been prophesized to destroy his homeworld of Asgard. Unfortunately, Thor's efforts lead to the discovery that Loki is actually alive, since his apparent death in Thor the Dark World, as well as the fact that he has a bloodthirsty, long-lost older sister, Hela. Intent on ruling the universe with an iron fist, Hela quickly kicks the ever-loving shit out of both Thor and Loki, causing them to wind up on the junk planet known as Sakaar, where they meet up with one of the legendary Valkyrie and the long-missing Incredible Hulk. With the arrival of Ragnarok drawing closer and closer, Thor must team up with Loki, Valkyrie, and Hulk in order to stop Hela and prevent the end of Asgard. Honestly, I feel so torn thinking about this movie. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was a great movie overall. Like, it had great action, a fantastic soundtrack, a lot of really funny moments, but at the same time, it was a huge deviation from the Ragnarok of the comics. Look, I completely get the idea that Marvel wanted to go in a completely different direction with the Thor movies, you know, make things a little more lighthearted, a little more epic in a way that didn't rely on a Shakespearean method of storytelling. After the meh first movie and the literal turd part 2 was, shaking things up isn't the worst idea in the world, but having said all that, this is Ragnarok we're talking about. You know, the death of the gods and the destruction of Asgard. I think that kinda warrants a more serious tone, don't you think? But no, instead we gotta have like a billion jokes scattered throughout the movie, smothering what should have been a lot of very serious moments. For example, we find out that Bruce Banner's been the Hulk ever since the events of Age of Ultron, and understandably, he's a little freaked out about turning back into the Jolly Green Giant.
Maybe the fact that I was trapped for 2 years inside of a monster made me a little weird.
So when he inevitably decides to make the transformation in order to help save Asgard, in a nice throwback to the chopper scene in The Incredible Hulk no less, do we get a decent bit of focus on how serious this potential sacrifice is? Nope. Seriously, if Marvel wanted a fun take on the Thor character, they should have saved the serious tone for this movie and just put all the jokes and funny stuff and all that in the second one.
Darcy? Jane!
Yeah. Sylvie!
Mia!
Okay, maybe that wasn't the greatest idea. But can we at least agree that it's a shame that this movie barely focused on the actual event it's named for? I mean, we get one fight between Thor and Surtur, with Thor locking up Surtur's crown right next to the one thing he needs to start Ragnarok.
Do me a favor. Lock this away in a vault so it doesn't turn into a giant monster and destroy the whole planet.
And the rest of the movie's focused on everybody getting through space and stopping Hela. Come on, Marvel, I wanted to watch a planet burn here. Ah, hell, now I sound just like Ultron. Seriously though, like I said earlier, I'm not overly bothered by any of this, given that the plot itself is actually pretty great. As much as I would have liked this one to have been way more serious, I love how funny this movie is. Like, in my opinion, all the jokes work, and the delivery of all of them is very well done, for the most part. We may not get a ton of focus on Ragnarok itself, but Taika Waititi did carry over those feelings of dread and the inevitability of death and all that stuff. He just focused them on Hela, who I have to say is awesome. Cate Blanchett really brings this creepy, evil take on the character to life, and the confident swagger she has throughout the movie helps emphasize how insanely powerful she is. Seriously, this chick takes down entire armies and can hold her own with the God of Thunder, and Kate's gonna make you believe she's sadistically enjoying every second of it.
I'm not a queen or a monster. I'm the goddess of death.
Meanwhile, both Chris Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo, two guys I always thought were kind of bland and boring in the earlier Avengers movies, actually have a chance to branch out this time around, and a lot of their more humorous scenes actually work pretty well. They both have great comedic timing, and they both do have some serious moments buried underneath all the gags that kind of balances all this stuff out. Speaking of Thor, I love the interactions between him and Loki in this one. Their relationship is still antagonistic, but it's definitely more developed and fleshed out this time. It's not all simplistic like, ooh, Thor's the good guy and Loki's the bad guy. This time they actually feel like people who grew up together. Like, they poke fun at each other, they go back and forth, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Can't see into the future, I'm not a witch.
No? Then why'd you dress like one?
Hey, and is it just me, or is their relationship a lot more ambiguous this time around? I know Thor acts like he's given up on trying to redeem Loki, but at the same time, Loki doesn't exactly seem too sure about completely giving up on Thor, does he? I guess it's just something to think about going into Infinity War, I suppose. Anyways, moving on, I especially love Jeff Goldblum's take on the Grandmaster. He's just so weird, and so much fun to watch, and I think the fact that Goldblum plays the character roughly the same way he plays every other character makes the role even funnier.
On any other world, I'd be like millions of years old. But here on Sakaar,
seriously, this guy's definitely a nice follow-up to that other Elder of the Universe we got to see a few years before.
Beautiful.
Now, for all the characters we get to meet in this movie, I honestly think the highlight for me was Korg. Honestly, Korg is just so chill and laid back about everything. It's awesome.
Piss off, Ghost! He's freaking gone.
If you watch this movie and Korg doesn't wind up being one of your favorite characters by the time the credits roll, then what the fuck is wrong with you? Seriously though, I love this guy, and I honestly wouldn't mind seeing at least like a spin-off buddy comedy or something between him and Meek. Ow! Alright. I guess that shock from the obedience disc means it's time for me to head out to the stadium and kill some random fool. I wonder what loser they dug up for me to wipe the floor with this time.
Hello, Doctor.
Wait, what the fuck? Ultron, you're here too?
Yes, and guess what? Now I have arms. I finally have my chance to do what I told you I would when we first met.
Now, hey, come on now. We don't have to do this, right? Come on, we can figure something out, right, buddy?
I am no longer your buddy, and nothing will stop my primary objective, destroying you.
But I'm right in the middle of talking about Thor Ragnarok. You still like reviewing movies with me, right? I just got to the part where we're talking about the characters.
Did you mention the bad writing floating around Karl Urban's Scourge?
No, why would I do that? There wasn't any bad writing there.
Honestly, I thought he was kind of disappointing, mostly because he wasn't all that powerful or all that evil. Hell, he didn't even do any actual executing. Seriously, it's very clear the character's only in this movie for two reasons: telling jokes and having a change of heart towards the end of the movie. His whole character arc just feels unearned and rushed, and that's a shame considering what all we get to see out of the character in the comics.
Okay, fair enough, that was pretty dumb. I guess they could have made his character more interesting by having him be sort of evil from the start and slowly come to realize that he should be working with Thor instead of against him, or maybe pair him off with the Enchantress and have some of his actions or his change of heart or whatever be tied to stuff involving her. But clearly that second one's just crazy talk. Having Amora pop up in a Thor movie?
Ridiculous.
Switching topics. I thought the action in this film was great. We got to see many memorable battles. Thor versus Hela at the end, Thor versus Hulk while on Sakaar, even the one fight between him and Surtur. They all helped make Thor and the characters he's fighting against feel powerful and dangerous.
I know, right? The fight scenes in this movie were awesome. All the punches, sword tosses, hammer throws, they all felt like they had some weight behind them, and that really helps the scenes overall feel tougher and more brutal. I especially liked how the soundtrack helped take all those fight scenes to the next level too. Like, we already had a cool fight, but all those techno songs really paired well with all that bone-crushing action we got to see on screen. I especially loved when Immigrant Song popped up during Thor's fight scenes. I love the song anyway, but hearing it here while Thor's beating down Surtur and his Legion of Fire Demons, it just feels right. And speaking of fights, that Thor-Hulk fight was miles ahead of that brawl we got in the Avengers.
Agreed. It finally felt like the both of them were finally allowed to cut loose and just go at it for a few minutes.
You know it, and I don't care what anybody says. Thor was easily winning by the end of that fight.
You are wrong, and I will give you 2,908,765,895,867,567,567,876 reasons why this is the case.
Okay, no, we don't have enough time for another Civil War reference. Let's just move on.
Boo! Somebody punch someone!
Oh yeah, we're supposed to be fighting.
I will make your death painless, Doctor, with my lasers, rockets, bear traps, flamethrowers, electromagnets.
Wait a minute, what am I doing? I don't need to put up with this shit. I know magic. There we go, much better.
You imbecile, you left my body back on Sakaar.
Who cares? I'll build you another one.
You.
Look, can we just go back to talking about the movie, please?
Fine. I thought the CGI in this film was less than desirable.
What are you talking about? Yeah, the CGI continues the recent MCU trend of having extremely noticeable special effects, but it's really not as bad as it is in some of the other movies in the MCU.
What is that? What the f*** is that?
Okay, but after that, the colors in the sets are unbelievable. I mean, the movie's got this very classic Marvel look, but especially when the action moves to Sakaar, the place is obviously heavily influenced by Jack Kirby, right down to the random celestial guy standing in the background. Hell, we even get some actual artwork from a Fantastic Four comic literally pasted on the walls. It's awesome.
For me, favorite was the Hela/Valkyrie flashback. The scene is very stylized, and it looks incredibly beautiful as a result, like an oil painting from long ago in your history. It's a shame we never get to see any other scenes like it.
True, but then again, it's probably for the best. They might have run out of time or budget to make it look good, and then it just looked like the end of that fight with Hela. But all in all, that's Thor Ragnarok. It may leave some of you more diehard fans of the Ragnarok story feeling a little disappointed, but it is a fun movie. The jokes, when they're timed correctly, land pretty well. We get way more range and interesting acting out of some of the more boring members of the Avengers. We're introduced to a bunch of cool new characters. The effects are mostly fine, and if you've been watching all the MCU movies before you get to see Infinity War, then I hope you end your rewatch marathon with this one, because everything about this movie is a great lead in to the battle against Thanos. But anyways guys, that's my take on Thor Ragnarok.
Cease your babbling, human, and repair me before I slaughter you in your sleep.
Look at that, it's like you never left.
I hate you.
Well, alrighty. I guess now the only thing left for us to do is just to head back to Earth and go see Infinity War. Either way, I'm just glad I'm done with all this crazy bullshit and I can just go back to having a normal, simple life. Ah, shit. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then go ahead and click that like button, and if you're new, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button too. I've also got links to my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon in the description. You should probably check those out too. And if you want to see more of my content, then you can click the link to my last video. It's right there in the middle of your screen. Alright, and I will see you all next time.